Okay, it's pouring rain today. I guess all that wind yesterday blew all the rain clouds here, huh? Doesn't look like it's gonna stop anyways. And with that in mind, what did I read today? How about this first one? It seems like it's related to that news again, where in Toronto, people were flying their drones around the Rogers Centre during a Blue Jays game, and now they say they charged like, what, 7 people? This one says, 7 charged for flying drones over Rogers Centre during Blue Jays playoff run. Toronto police say they've charged 7 more people for illegally flying drones over Rogers Centre during the Blue Jays postseason baseball games. Police say earlier this week, the Toronto Emergency Management and Public Order Unit used specialized drone technology to identify and intercept 7 unauthorized drone flights over and around the baseball stadium during games on Sunday and Monday. That kind of makes me curious actually, because they say over and around the baseball stadium area, so they weren't necessarily flying just over, for example, the event. So it makes me wonder how far away they actually were, or how close anyways. It says they say 8 charges were laid against 7 people for operating drones contrary to the Canadian aviation regulations and for violating federally designated no-fly zones. One interesting note is they do mention about those previous charges with those 2 people, and a lot of the articles before kept emphasizing how people were flying quote micro drones, whereas in this case they don't specifically say, because it does make a difference actually legally in all that. Because it does make a difference legally in all that versus that blanket thought people have usually, like, oh, it's illegal here and there, but there's technicalities to all this stuff. I still remember some stories people told me too, where they fly things, for example, like, let's just say a really light micro FPV drone around like their area, and for some reason people got paranoid over it, and so they called the police to actually, I guess, approach the person, like asking them, hey, what are you doing flying this and that? Like, there's nothing illegal about it, but it's just with the hysteria and so forth, right? And people trying to interpret the laws in, I guess, a way that's not actually accurate. Like here, they classify everything as the same thing, where even technically speaking, that's not the case. It depends on what you're flying and how overall. But with that thought, when people lose their rights, like the recreational people, the officials are going to use their drones more. And then how about this one? This one says, drone spies boatloads of alcohol being delivered to northern community. RCMP intercepted a suspicious delivery of alcohol to a northern community Monday and have charged 2 men as a result. Illegal alcohol is a threat to public safety, says Wollaston RCMP Sergeant Robert Gattenby. Licensed institutions ensure that the alcohol is sold responsibly with proper oversight. So what exactly happened? It says on October 13th, Wollaston Lake RCMP suspected that alcohol was about to be delivered to Hatchet Lake First Nation by boat. They deployed a drone and observed 2 boat docks in the community. Police say the occupants unloaded a number of bags and placed them in a busy area on the beach, then left. So by the sounds of it anyways, the drone made it really easy, I guess, to identify and apprehend the people that were trying to do this in general. Again, I think it's okay for officials to use drones in these ways if it makes things more efficient and all that. It's just a tool, but again, at the same time, you can't just fear-monger it for one group of people just because, let's just say, you want to be the only ones to use it overall. And this piece was going viral, which was kind of crazy. Apparently there was a convention of sort for the platform Twitch, where they call it TwitchCon. They invite, I suppose, their most popular streamers, and fans can actually interact with them. For example, pay for meet and greets as well. Well, there was this one scenario where apparently a person that goes by Emiru, she basically was doing like a meet and greet by the looks of it, and this guy just budges through the line, passing all security and so forth. It's kind of crazy. And from what I see in the video here, it looked like he tried to force himself upon her, like kiss her and so forth, and then suddenly somebody finally comes in and pushes him away. But everyone's kind of shocked, wondering what's going on. But that is a complete disaster in terms of a security breach. How did he get past all of those people to get to her like that? Now, apparently the company did actually issue a statement saying they know there was an issue and so forth, and they apparently apprehended the person. But then she, basically the person who got assaulted, issued all this statement here saying otherwise, where I guess you could say it's a dangerous place to be in. Like she writes briefly here, hello everyone, I am okay and thank you for all the kind messages. Sorry I cannot respond to them all. Yesterday, the man who assaulted me was allowed to cross multiple barriers at TwitchCon and even in front of another creator's meet and greet to grab me and my face and try to kiss me. That's what I assumed anyways, what he was doing. And the crazy thing is, some people online were saying, oh, she's overreacting. He was just going in for a hug. I'm like, did you look at that video? It says, fortunately, he wasn't able to, but a lot of people have pointed out it could have been a lot worse. And she made some allegations here too, claiming, for example, the Twitch security people were apparently joking about it on how they completely missed this guy. I don't think that's anything to joke about in this regards anyways. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And as well, she claims here, the Twitch, they did actually make a statement on how the person was detained and all that, but she's calling that an outright lie. Again, that's probably one of the worst security breaches I've ever seen for an event in general. I know obviously this isn't like world leaders types of gatherings, but still, can you imagine going to these events now for a lot of people? They'll probably be terrified, I guess, in terms of the security and all that. An interesting note about that too, apparently people were warning others, females for example, to stay away from these events just because there are so many, I guess you could say, quote, creeps out there that just stalk people in that way. Never say never, I guess. It looks like it stopped raining here. Alright, see you guys later.